We're coming to you live from Asaba, Delta State capital, where they're commemorating the Delta at 23. We're joined this morning by Chief Paulinus Akpeki, who was the former Commissioner for Orientation and Communication. He's now the Commissioner for Housing. Morning. Thank you for coming on this
Thank you very much, sir.
Well, speaking about the 23rd anniversary of the creation of this state, I mean, right from before the agitation started, when the state was created, there's always a story to all of this. But you've been around. You were you were the youngest, in fact, in the former defunct Bendel State in the House of Assembly then.
Representatives.
Representative, but now in Delta. Do you think that so far the purpose for which the state was created has been achieved, and maybe to what extent?
I think so. The purpose for the creation of Delta State has been achieved because if you look at Delta State today, as it were in Bendel, when it was Bendel and Delta today, there's been a lot of development at this part of the former Bendel State, which is presently Delta State. And apart from that, there used to be this, is it tribal or ethnic, whatever. Today, the present government, for instance, has been able to bridge most of those gaps. So I think the purpose for which Delta State was created out of former Bendel State has been achieved. Perhaps
the question we should ask is why was, because we understand that in the late 80s, I think about 88, 89, there was agitation for creation of states from the old Bendel State. And that was why Delta was created. We understand that. I think 2 states then, as far back as 89, 2 states were actually being agitated for from the old Bendel State. But Delta was what was given. And one would ask, why the cry for these agitations?
I think it's basically based on what we call trust. You see, in the former Bendel State, we have what we call Bendel Edo Province and Delta Province. Benin Province and Delta Province. And we were thinking that, well, when the state was being created, and if they created Delta State out of the former Bendel State, then Delta Province will probably go, while Benin Province will go their way. And incidentally, as we'll have it, Asaba then, which was now made the capital of present-day Delta State, happened to be in Benin Province. And so the people on the other side were not too happy, while the people on this side were happy. And when government was formed, the people on this side felt that they were being sidelined. But you see, today, like I said before, the present government under Uduaghan has been able to bridge that gap. And now you can find out that you don't even know an Ika man from an Arubu man, you don't know an Arubu man from a Asaba man and all that. But when we came here in 1991, 92, that bridge was there. It was there.
Well, we still, because one cannot forget the fact that a national conference just ended, and it was saying that there's still been more agitation, and so Anyoma State has been approved from the national conference. Well, what does that say about,
you see, you said before that even before the creation of Delta State,
yes,
there happened to be 2 states, 2 people that were struggling for creation of states. Anyoma has always been there, while Delta was there. But like I said, when they created Delta State, they didn't create Anyoma State. So today, people still crave for creation of more states, maybe not for ethnic whatever, but it will give room for more development. If they had not created Delta State today, most of the rural areas would have not been developed as what we have now. If you look at Delta State, many people always say Delta State Asaba, Delta State Asaba. My good friend sitting with us here, one of them, said, oh, this is the first time he's come to Delta State. Now, when you look at Delta State, you say it's Asaba. But Delta State have not less than about 23 good cities. And we have riverine areas here. If you look at our programs, the 3 cardinal programs of Uduaghan, you can expand it to include rural integration. So if you go to the rural areas today, you find that a lot of development has taken place. But when we were in Benin, the governors, some of them come this way, they come to the major cities. Some of them go to the other end, they go to the major cities. But today, the nearer government is to the people, more development you have in that area.
Would you say, did this kind of discussion come up at that time in the House of Representatives when you were there?
Yeah, at the time we were in the House of Representatives, that was during the Second Republic, we were focusing actually on development of your area. So if you are in the House, you bring in projects, you bring in things that will go to your area. You don't even need to see the president. I never saw President Shagari for one day. I never did. But I know that projects were going to various areas.
Has that changed now? Is it the same thing going on today?
Today, to a large extent, if you look at the various states, especially in Delta State, the governor of Delta State, for instance, know exactly the type of projects that are cited in the various localities because it's closer to the people. But Abuja, how many times does President Jonathan come to Delta State to know what's happening in Forcados, to know what's going to happen in Odeshekiri, to know what's going to happen in Burutu? So the closer the government is to the people, more development will come. And that's what we have today in Delta.
You've talked about the journey from when the state was created. If you say it's been progress all the way and the state's so unified, why the agitations again for more states to be created?
Well, like I said, many people will always want states to be created because they believe that if they create states for them, more development. It's all about development. It's all about sometimes trust. My person has to be there. If this person is there, we will get more here.
So in the 23 years that Delta State has been, this agitations...
agitations everywhere, not only in Delta.
We're looking at Delta State now. Have these agitations helped in any way to move the state forward or divided it?
No. We wouldn't say it has divided it. If it has divided it, we would have progressed this far. Like I said, this agitation was there at 91, 92, even part of 93. But today, the government has been able to instill that trust in the minds of the people. I tell you, when we came here with Ibru, Ibru was an honorable man. The people here felt that Urubos were dominating them. With time, Ibori came. Today, Uduaga came. Uduaga started preaching trust, peace, love your neighbor. Today, the people of Delta State have forgotten to some extent, not a large extent, where they come from. I'm a Urubo man. Most of my friends are here today. Most of my friends are from Mecca. Most of my friends are from Ondokwa. Some from Urubo land. But basically, you have to instill that trust in the minds of the people. And once that trust is there will be development, there will be less problem. This is the way I see it.
Let me take you back to when you were, again, in the House of Representatives at the time. You know, you said that at that time they were bringing projects that have to affect...
You.
As the
representative, you put in up projects in
they pass it, it's in your budget, you implement it. So to what extent would you say that helped in assuaging those nerves of agitation?
I think they did. Because you see, if these people, the more projects you have, you create jobs too. So those people that are going to cause confusion, they have something doing. Take for instance today, let me come into Delta. Take for instance today, you said a few minutes ago, I'm commissioner for housing. For one house you build, you employ people. There's labor. You move some people from the street. And if they have something doing, they will not think of some terrible things to go and do. So if you have some projects going on, you have removed people from the street, And the bad things in them, they forget. So when we're in the house, for instance, we have what they call constituency projects, outside what government also does. And if you put those things in place, you've removed a lot of people from the street. Today in Delta, you see things, all these things were not here when we came to Delta State. What you see today in Asaba, for instance, were not here. When we came here in August 1991, you didn't have roads. The best hotel here there was Paradise Hotel and part of Delta Hotel, which is today Grand Hotel. The next hotel was Nob Hotel in Ibuzo. Government officials were staying at Ibuzo. We had nowhere to sleep. We were putting buckets in our cars. We sleep in the offices. True. Today, look at Delta. Look at the roads. We will have bridges in Delta State. Asaba, Warri. So you see, government has moved there, and there's not development. People are working.